Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Rick Wallace here, dropping in on you this evening. I hope that so far you've had a great day, that you've got some things accomplished. Those of you that dropped in on this morning segment of 5 Minutes of Fire, one of the things that I encouraged you to do was to get at least one thing of significance done. And, and I hope that you've done that or you're working on it. I think it's extremely important that we focus on things that need to get done, that may be challenging versus checking off the task list to look busy. You have a lot of busy people out there that aren't making progress or are not achieving the things that really truly matter to them, but they are very busy. Being busy in and of itself, hustling in and of itself, grinding in and of itself is not where great advances are made. Great advances are made when you have the courage to take on those things that are most challenging but most necessary. So I hope that you got something done today. I was sitting up and I was working, and I was going through this process that I go through when I'm dealing with something that's challenging, and I'm at a challenging place right now. I'm trying to get some major things done. I'm trying to get some things accomplished, more than one thing, but some significant things. This like is very important for what I'm trying to get done to reach my goals for this year. And so I'm looking at it, and it's challenging. And I do what I teach my clients to do, what I share with others who ask me, how do you get through things? I began to first and foremost remind myself of the principles. There are a number of different attributes and characteristics that are associated with people who achieve these massive amounts of success and consistently do it. One is this state of being relentless. And, you know, in the sense of that, and I'm sitting there and I'm reminding myself, this is where we become relentless, because what I'm working against is pushing against me. It's challenging me in every way. And I know you get a lot of people who will talk to you, and they'll tell you what they're doing, and they'll make it seem like it's so easy and like they're just knocking it down. And what I can tell you is, if it's worth having, it's challenging. If it's something that you really truly know will bring value to your life, it comes at a price. So there's no such thing as simply saying, okay, I want it, and speaking positiveness into the atmosphere, so to speak, and it just comes. You've got to, first of all, train your mind to believe, train and arrest your thoughts. In other words, arrest any negative thought that moves against the thing that you say you want. Stop fighting the things you don't want and focus on the things you want. That momentum that moves you towards the things you want will automatically move you away from the things you don't want. They're diametrically opposed, but they're on the same tier. Courage and fear are not opposite. They're two extreme ends of the same pole. So when you move towards courage, you start to dispel and distance yourself from fear. So it's the same thing with anything else. If I'm sitting up and I'm dealing with lack, or I'm dealing with poverty, or I'm dealing with struggles in any particular area, I move towards the thing I want. I focus my mind and I fix my mind on the thing I want. And I don't give attention to those things that are negative, that I don't want, that are inhibitors. It's not that I'm ignoring them or I'm in denial. It's simply I understand that the thing I give my attention to, the thing I focus on, is the thing I'm going to feel the most. The thing I feel the most becomes more emphatic. The more emphatic it becomes, the more power it has. So I'm not going to give power to the things I don't want. I'm going to focus on the things I want. But what I can tell you is, if it's anything that you want, anything of significance, anything that you desire, whether it's wealth, whether it's to start a business, whether it's to be a better husband, a better wife, a better parent, whatever it is that in which, and you should be trying to grow in all of these areas, because true wealth is the growth and development of an adequacy in the areas of life that maintain your existence. It's not just in how much money you have in your bank account. That's financial wealth, but you want emotional wealth, mental wealth, spiritual wealth. You want relational wealth. And that takes work. That takes a process of growth, a willingness to understand that you haven't arrived, and then to work on it. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about this idea of being relentless, because if I think of anything that I I've gone up against in the past. Obviously, it's taking a will to want to get it done. It's taking an idea of how to get it done. It's taking a commitment. But in that commitment is hidden this thing called being relentless. And you define you define the word relent as letting up, softening up, dissolving, mollifying, yielding. But when you start to define relentless, Webster's Collegiate Dictionary defines relentless as showing or promising no abatement of severity, intensity, strength, or pace. And that's what it is. When I start to think about it, it's like, okay, you've heard me say this before. Once I make up in my mind that I am going to do something, I commit to it. And in committing to it, I begin to move the universe on my behalf. Now, there are a lot of different elements, components in play that I'm not going to get into at this particular moment. But the universe has to respond to me. And the universe is always responding, whether in the positive or in the negative, to what you're doing, how you're thinking. Are you thinking about lack? Are you focusing on the negative? Are you operating in a low frequency, a low vibration? Are you speaking negative self-talk about who you are, where you're at, what you're going to do, what you're accomplished? Where have you set your expectations? Because that's what the universe is going to respond to. The universe is always, you can say the universe, God, consciousness, or whatever you want to refer to it as based on your belief systems. But at the end of the day, the ultimate power, the ultimate source of all being is going to meet you at your level of expectation, never beyond it, never above it. When you have an expectation of something, it is a reflection of your beliefs. And your beliefs are what feed your thoughts, and your thoughts are what guide your words, and your words are simply expressing an inner state of an idea of how it is. That's where you get victims, and that's where you get conquerors. Victims are people who believe life is happening to them. Conquerors are those that understand that the world, the universe, and life is simply responding to them. And if they want to change the result, they change the cause by changing their thinking, by changing their behavior, by changing their rituals, and creating new habits, creating new beliefs, and moving toward it. But in the midst of all of this is this mindset that I'm either going to get it or I'm going to die trying. That relentless thing. See, I don't want you in your reading of inspirational encouragement, and your reading of motivational writing, and your watching of videos or speeches, or whenever you listen to me or you read something I've written, or you purchase and read one of my books, I don't want you to get the idea that it's easy. I don't want you to get the idea that if I just do these things, it's all going to fall in line. It's not about how easy it is. It's more about how committed you are. It's more about how focused you on becoming better. Because if it's something in life that you really, really, really want and you haven't been able to obtain it, it's because you're not there yet. You don't get what you want, you get who you are. You get who you are at the moment. Your capacity is controlling what you have. But the thing is, your capacity isn't locked in. See, we live in a society that likes to tell you that you got some people that can do this, some people that are going to be good at this, some people just not going to make it. They're going to be pretty much this way all the way. So we got this lot in life mentality. We got this mentality that if I've been this way for so long, that's pretty much who I am. And so we set our expectations along the lines of what we think someone like us should have. We stop dreaming, we stop reaching, we stop fighting for anything because we start to buy into the lot in life mentality. But the truth of the matter is, the only thing that's holding you back from anything you desire are the limiting beliefs that you have taken hold of and made your own. Now, a lot of those beliefs have been passed on to you from some pretty significant people that carry a lot of gravity and weight in your life. Your parents, your friends, your siblings, your spouse, your teachers, and your employers. And so you've got an idea that because these people have gravity, because these people have a certain level of authority at different stages in your life, that if they say it, it must be true. So you buy into it, you lock it in to these synaptic nerves in your brain that house these memories. And in the process of doing that, these memories set a parameter around you of what you believe is possible. And why is that important? Because a part of the equation of success is how much energy and effort you invest in what you want. See, in order to achieve massive results, you have to have massive action. That must be massive effort. That must be a commitment to go beyond. See, if I want things that most people don't have, I can't invest the energy and effort and commitment that most people invest, because I'll get what most people get. In order for me to have something beyond what most people are able to experience, I've got to be willing to go the extra mile. If everybody's getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning, I've got to be up at least at 5. If everybody's getting up at 6, I got to be up at 3. I've got to know how to put into work and get more out. I've got to be willing to make more sacrifices, commit more time to learning, commit more time to reading. Reading, I mean, I can't explain the power of reading. There are several studies out now that show that the average American reads approximately 1 book a year on average, whereas in those who are considered the top 5 most successful read an average of 3 to 4 books per month. There's something in the pursuit of knowledge that appeases the desire for growth. See, if you're not setting an intent to grow, then you are not positioning yourself to advance to the things you say you want out of life. It's not about how much you wish for it, it's how much you prepare for it. See, yes, you have to have a mindset to dream. Everything begins as a thought. Everything begins as a part of a thought. Sometimes the thought comes from pre-existing imagery, something you've seen that you want. Maybe it's a car, maybe it's a house, maybe it's a type of business, but it comes from imagery. But then the greater things come from the visualization. See, the imagery is that thing that already exists, but the visualization is created from your imagination. It doesn't even exist yet, not how you want it, not how you plan to do it. It hasn't been done yet. Now we're into the area of innovation and new ideas and new things. And if you want that thing, you've got to first establish what it is, get a clear understanding of how it looks, how it feels, how it smells. Then you get an idea of what it takes to get there. And see, the thing is, I can tell you, I've had these unbelievable ups, and there are some times I was not flat on my back. But the person who I am didn't change, the situation changed. But and one thing that I looked at is when I was on my back, I looked at were the things that I had been able to accomplish in the past. For those of you who are Christian believers, there's a part in Lamentations where Jeremiah says, these things I call to mind, or I recall to my mind, therefore I have hope. And what was Jeremiah saying? There were some times that it was pretty bad, but I made it through. There were some times that I didn't see how I was going to get it done, but it got done because I believed and because I pushed through and because I didn't quit. The universe had to yield to me what I planted. What did I plant? Here's where it gets crazy. I simply planted the right thoughts. I was thinking the right thing. I wasn't thinking about what I didn't have. See, when you start to complain about what you don't have, you curse the things you do. You diminish the power and the capacity of the resources you have in your possession, because it's those resources that will begin the process. You start where you are. A lot of you are beating yourself up because you don't have what you need to be. Things you have. And say, well, because I don't have that, I can't do that. You say, this is what I need, and this is what I'm going to have to do to get it. I believe it's Les Brown that says all the time, matter of fact, I know it's Les Brown that says all the time that when you're making up in your mind that you're going to do something exceptional, something extraordinary, something phenomenal, something beyond anything you've ever done before, how you're going to do it is none of your business. Why? Because if you've never done it before, if it's beyond anything you've ever experienced, the chances are everything you need to get it done, you don't have access to, you don't have knowledge of, you don't yet have the experience, the connections, the resources. So if you sit down and you're making a decision based on being able to know how you're going to get it done, you'll never try it. What I believe it was William Hutchinson Murray says that until a decision is made, it is not until a decision is made and one becomes committed and steps out and moves towards that thing that they desire that providence begins to move. It's that when you make a commitment, the universe is listening, and the universe says, you move, I move. The universe begins to conspire when you begin to move. The universe starts to send people your way. I've had situations where I've had times where I'm out and it's a place I'm at all the time, whether it's the gym, whether it's the track, whether it's Starbucks using it as a satellite office, and I'm in there a lot, and people come in and out during the same time that I'm there, and we see each other all the time, so we give the head nod, we, hey, how you doing? And we keep it moving, no conversation, no engagement, and all of a sudden I decide that, hey man, it's time for me to do this thing. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get started today. And the moment I make up my mind to start, that same person that I've been seeing for a year or even more walks by me and say, hey guy, man, you know, I've been passing you for the last so and so, and I stood up and I see you doing this and this. What is it you do? The conversation goes on. Before you know it, this guy is either the guy I need or he knows someone. He was always there, but until I made up in my mind that I was going to commit to it, not based on who I already knew or what I already knew, but simply the fact that that's what I wanted, he didn't exist in that realm. It wasn't until I made up in my mind that he became relevant enough that the universe brought him to me. Now, in order for that to happen, I've got to have my mind on the right wavelength, because my thoughts emit energy. And energy is resonant. It resonates with like energy. It can't attract anything that's not on the same frequency or same vibration. So if I'm sitting down and I'm stressed out, I'm worried, I'm fretting, I'm anxious, then or I'm envious, or I'm jealous, or I lack gratitude. All of those things, all of those are state of minds. And that any of those state of minds produce thoughts that are low frequency, creating low vibrations, low energy, low emittance of light. And they cannot attract anything but other types of negative energy on the same frequency. So I've got to have the right mindset, the right thoughts, and the expectations that what I am setting out to do can be done. Now, from my past experiences, when I was down on my back and I'm looking back and I'm measuring it and I'm calling to the mind, the first thing I remind myself, it's not going to be easy. It never was. You may have gotten into such a groove and your momentum built that you went through things without really observing the difficulty at the time, because you had been built up for it. You had been prepared for it. You heard me say this before. Every time I face something and it looks bigger than me, I just sit up and I look myself dead square in the eyes in the mirror and say, you're built for this. And I'll stand there and I'll say it until my shoulders square up and my chin raises. And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I'm either going to get it or I'm going to die trying. That's relentless. Relentless is not paying attention to the circumstances. Relentless is focused on the destination and saying that no matter what, I've got two choices. I'm going to get to my destination, I'm going to hit my target, I'm going to accomplish my goal, or I'm going to die trying. And I tell people all the time when I tell them that, either way is fine with me. Because if I die trying, I die empty. I die on E. And see, I'm good with that. What I cannot do is die with unfinished business. What I cannot do is die knowing that I never even tried. What I cannot do is knowing I relented, I gave up, I surrendered, I turned around, I turned back, I laid down. No, it's not easy. It's not going to be easy. This is not about circumventing the struggles and the vicissitudes of life. Let me explain something. This is not about that. This is not about finding the easy way out. This is about making a commitment to be the best you can be. And being willing to take the bumps and the bruises, the setbacks, the delays, the hardships, the people talking about you. That's what it is. It's saying that there's absolutely nothing that'll turn me around. One of my favorite quotes comes from a movie. Some of you have probably heard me use it before in some capacity somewhere. But in the movie Lawless, there's this point where the Bondurant brothers, they some moonshine runners in the hills of Virginia. And they're battling some dirty cops. And the two older brothers are just straight killers. They're hardcore. I mean, just as rough as they come. But the baby brother's smart, but he's timid. And he sits up and he gets hemmed up by one of these cops who beats his cousin and kills his cousin and beats him within an inch of his life. And he's sitting in the bar which the family owns. He's sitting at one end of the bar, his brother sitting at the other, and his brother asked him simply, "So what are you going to do?" And his response was, "I'm not like you. I'm not tough like you. I'm not violent like you." And he gets up and he walks over to his brother, and what he said hit me at that moment the same way it hits me every time I think about it. He leans over, he says, "It's not the violence that sets a man apart. It's the distance he's willing to go." You got a bunch of people that start out hard. You got a bunch of people that'll run up, but are you willing to go the distance? See, when you get somebody that's willing to go the distance, when you get somebody that's absolutely willing to go the distance, there's absolutely nothing you can do to stop them. That's when destiny dials in. That's when destiny dials in. Destiny is that thing that is unstoppable. See, another movie I saw, Deja Vu, where the guy tells Denzel, he says, "Do you know the definition of destiny?" And Denzel is like, "What?" He says, "The more you try to stop it, the more you ensure that it happens." That's the power of destiny. Set your destination. Make it your destiny. Make it that point that absolutely nothing will stop you from getting to. Make up your mind that you're willing to go the distance. See, when you're willing to go the distance, it doesn't matter if you have it all right then. It doesn't matter if you run into somebody tougher than you or you run into a situation. You're just not going to quit. Be relentless. Be relentless. You know, I tell my clients that while we'll work on strategy and whatever it is, while we'll deal with the elements and components that it takes to be successful and whatever they're coming to me to be successful at, we'll deal with the components of business, we'll deal with the components of marriage, we'll deal with the components of parenting, we'll deal with all that. We'll create a strategy based on what it is they're trying to accomplish. That the biggest focus is their mind. The biggest focus is psychology. 80% of success is not strategy, it's psychology. It's how you think. It's how you set your state. It's what you say, what you speak, what you think. It's your rituals you practice every day that set the habits that govern your common and everyday behavior. There's a different way people who are successful think. There's a different way people who are successful move. There's a different way that people who are successful operate. From the moment they wake up in the morning, it's different. Most successful people wake up in the morning and they set an intent to win the first hour, because if they win the first hour, they win the day. Most set up and they wake up and they set aside. I tell you before, I don't scroll my phone or open my phone the first hour of the day. Why? Because the phone is made and designed to provide dopamine boost. But the problem is anything that can provide a dopamine boost, meaning give you that feel good dopamine and serotonin, can also work in reverse. It can create anxiety and stress if you don't get the notice you want, or if you get bad news, or if you don't get the likes you want on a post. All these different mechanisms that play with your emotions and move your chemical states and biochemistry on a daily basis, and you just study picking it up and you're staying in it. I don't give the phone the opportunity to set the tone for the day for me, because I don't know what's going to be on it. I wake up, I set the tone, I prime my mind, I prime my head, I set what I'm going to expect during the day, not what I'm going to encounter. I can't control everything that comes, but I can control what I expect. I expect to win. I expect to win. I expect to win every day I go out. Sometimes I get the crap beat out of me because I'm not playing for small chips. But I know how to pick myself up. I know how to dust myself off. I know how to recalibrate my mind. I know how to refocus. I know how to restart. But I get up in the morning and I set my intent. I set my state. I prime for the day and I start with gratitude. What is it do I have to be grateful for? And I always have something to be grateful. First of all, I'm still breathing. And then when I look over next to me and I see that woman laying next to me and her body rises as she inhales, and I see that she's breathing, I got something else to be grateful for. I also now have something to fight for. Because see, sometimes you can, if you've had a lot of success in your life, you can get to living in the past. So you can get to sitting back and say, man, I've already done that. And you can lose your hunger. As long as you eat, as long as the bills, you can lose your hunger. But when you look over, you got somebody that you want to give the world to. You got to get up and you got to get it. And then I walk up, when I wake up in the morning, I walk to each room and I see the kids. I get them up for school. And again, I'm reminded of why I'm up at that time of day and I'm fighting. Why sleeping in for me is staying in the bed to 7. Because it's work to be done. Again, I'm not telling you it's easy. I'm telling you there are times I'm getting my butt kicked. I'm telling you it's times that everybody around me is looking at me. He ain't gonna get it. He ain't gonna get it. But what I can tell you is there has not been one time yet that I have. And anything that I haven't got yet, I haven't stopped fighting for it. I'm never going to lay it down and say, well, it just wasn't meant to be. But I'm going to tell you something about that, because this is where a lot of other people, where a lot of people also falter. I don't take on everything. I evaluate something. When something comes to me, I don't do it just to do it. Because see, if I'm doing it just to do it, and then I get to a point where it becomes too difficult, and it's not something I'm passionate about, it's not something I'm fighting and pushing for, I'll lay it down. And then I start to do that too often. I create a behavior and a pattern of quitting. And before you know it, I'll quit on anything. And I don't want to have a pattern of quitting. So what do? I sit up and I say, okay, do I really want to commit to this? Am I really ready to commit to this? Because it's going to take some sacrifices. It's going to take some changing. It's going to take some introspection. It's going to take a self-examination, and I'm going to have to come face to face with some things about me that I might not want to admit or like, but I've got to if I want to grow. When I first started helping people evolve, in different areas. First business was in fitness. Still got that going in a number of different ways, but I'm more at a distance. And then it moved into other areas, but it was always a psychology to it. And then I started to study these different disciplines: neuro-linguistic programming, um, uh, neuro-associative conditioning, and psycho-cybernetics, and all of this. And I put it in a bundle and I called it Visionetics. And I started doing that. But when I look at all of this stuff embedded in the deep trenches of it all, it's simply an unwillingness to quit all of these things. And the thing I want to share with you, and the thing is, I see like four people that I've worked with, all of which have moved on and done something different, or better than when they came along. And I like to think some of it was because I inspired them, I encouraged them, but I also empowered them. I think you got a lot of people that can say things that can get you emotionally charged. You got a lot of people that will inspire you and make you want to do something. But I look at, and I think my gift, well, I know my gift is being able to touch someone and show them within them how to get it done. And that's outside of the strategy. I'm real good at conceptualization, coming up with ideas of how to get it done. That's another matter. But I'm talking about, if I believe this. I have seen it actually, where a person with no strategy, just a frame of mind that it's going to get done, gets it done. And then I've seen where a person has the best possible strategy you can give them to them by a strategic genius, and they don't get it done. Wrong psychology. 80% psychology, 20% strategy. 80% psychology, 20% strategy. Get your mind right, everything else will get right. Guard your self-talk. remember what I told you, that the the brain is the most powerful supercomputer on the planet, and your self-talk is the operating system and the software that you're uploading into it. Any computer is only good as the operating system that you use to operate it. And your self-talk is the system. What you When you self-talk, you're hearing your self-talk. Your thoughts are being sent out, and your reticular activating system is processing the things that you say about yourself. It's processing the things that you expect. It's processing the things that you focus on, and it'll start filtering out everything else. And then check this out: the questions you ask yourself and you ask others are the search terms that you're entering into your brain search engine. If you ask yourself, why do I keep failing at marriage? What do you think your brain is going to find? Every reason why you suck, every reason why you keep failing. If you ask yourself, why will I fail at this business? Why do all these people fail at this business? Why do most businesses fail within so and so amount of time? Why? If you ask yourself, your brain that, your brain will go out and it'll find the answers. And here's the thing: because the reticular activating system is a refining system and a filtering system, it'll filter out the things you didn't ask for. So when it goes and finds why you suck at marriage, it's not going to find why you're great at it. It's not going to find why, although these people failed at a certain business in a certain amount of time, you can succeed at it. It's not going to do that because your questions didn't ask for that. Guard your self-talk. Stop speaking negative things about yourself. Stop speaking negative situations. Stop focusing on negative situations. This is what I can tell you. There's absolutely nothing you're going to encounter in your life that's absolutely perfect, absolutely right, absolutely great. There's always a negative to anything. Start to find the positive. That was a study done by Yale University in 1953, I believe. The study it took graduating class of 53, and it asked them a series of questions. The two that I'm going to focus on now, the two that blew my mind. The first one was, do you have goals for your career? Not just, I'm going to be successful, I'm going to start a business, but real specific goals. Can you see them? Can you envision them? Do you have a plan? How are you going to get to them? And, about 3% did. And they noticed something else. And then when they came back, they brought them back 20 years later. And in 20 years, what they found was that the 3% not only fared well in just simple a state of well-being and feeling good about themselves, but in ways that could be measured. They were significantly more wealthy. They were significantly more forward advanced in their careers. They had established themselves just solely based on the fact that they had a visualization of where they were going and goals set based on that. But in that 3%. But here's the real thing. They also asked a question and they found out that there were optimists and there were pessimists. And what they found is that when they asked the optimist and the pessimist to judge certain things, the pessimist was pretty close to assessing the situation in the way that it really was. They were more accurate in assessing a current reality. The optimist always saw it better than it was. But check this out, though. In the 20 years that returned, the optimist had fared far better, because just having a positive mindset puts you in a proper state to achieve things that are at a distance to everyone else. So while an optimist may look like they're crazy, they may look like they're in denial, they may look like they just don't get it, they're not being realistic, that same mindset that allows them to only see the positive is what allows them to look right past all the hell they're in at the moment and see the light at the end of the tunnel. While the pessimist sees it and becomes overcome with it, and then it becomes a part of their life. And that's where pain turns into suffering. So you can't circumvent pain. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. Suffering is choosing to see the negative. Suffering is identifying with the negative. Suffering is packing up and moving in with the negative experience. And I want you to understand that the whole reason I'm here is because it's not easy. See, I'm going through a point where I'm having to push through. And it just came to me. How many people out there are at this point and ready to quit? How many people have come to this point and quit already? That's why I'm here. Because I'm sitting up and I'm going, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm either gonna sit here and figure it out and push through it and make it happen, or they're gonna be talking about, man, I remember when Rick did, because that's my option. But how many people will be convinced by their situation, by their circumstances, by an event, that it doesn't get any better? How many people are sitting back right now depressed because all they can see is the moment and they can't look beyond it to see the destiny? I tell people all the time, the reason why you see me smiling when the average person will be crying and complaining is because while I'm operating in the moment, I'm living in my destiny. I'm already in that moment. I literally can smell what it feels like to win this battle. What's on the other side of that wall of terror? See, it was Will Smith. I love how Will Smith put it. Will Smith says he believes, and I believe it. However you refer to the universe, however you refer to God, whatever you want to call it. I'm not here to tell you how to base your faith system. What I am here to tell you is, if you got a faith that ain't delivering, you need to get it rechecked. You need to find a faith that works for you. But Will Smith said that I believe God placed everything worth having on the other side of fear. Do you know how many people don't have what's worth having? Because they're not willing to break through that wall. They're not willing to stay committed. They're not willing to fight for it. They're not willing to bleed for it. They're not willing to get banged up and knocked down and kicked for it. If I'm still breathing, I'm in the fight. It's that simple. If I'm still breathing, I'm in the fight. If I lose this round, it's another round. Well, that was the last round. The hell it is. Fight ain't over until I stop breathing, until I win. And that's it. You get to keep resetting and change. I'm not going to quit because I'm 90 days behind on a goal. I'm not going to quit because I thought I would reach it in 3 years and it's been 5. I'm not going to quit because people are over there talking and laughing, because none of them have a bearing on where I'm going, and none of them can stop what I haven't said. You can't stop this. This is built. I'm built for it. And the thing is, you are too. You are built for the battle that you are facing, but you got to be willing to go the distance. It's not the violence that sets a man apart. It's the distance he's willing to go. Man, every time I think about that, I mean, it's been one of my favorites for a long time. Another favorite, and then I'm going to get off here. Another one of my favorites is from Stephen Furtick. Stephen Furtick says that if the vision that you have for your life isn't so huge that it intimidates you, there's a good chance it's insulting God. Think about that for a while. If you can wake up every morning and the vision you have for your life is something so small that you know, if I just wake up every day and go to work, or I just wake up every morning and do 1, 2, 3, or ABC, it'll get done. I got it. You're not living out the potential of your design. You're not rising to the capacity of your potential. You're taking the easy way out. You're sitting there and you're just going, I'm just going to do another. I'm going to hide back in this corner of comfort. See, the one thing I can tell you about comfort, you can't build character in comfort. You can't strengthen integrity in comfort. You can't develop endurance in comfort. You can't develop strength in comfort. So what happens when life comes for you? Because see, even when you hide in comfort and you don't go after anything, life still comes and finds you. You still have to face it, but you don't have the courage or the confidence, because while the other person was working out, fighting through, pushing through, standing strong, you were hiding. Go out and get what it is that life has for you. I don't care what age you're at right now. If you're breathing, you're still in the fight. I read a couple of months ago when Black Panther was real big, and that there's an actress in there. And, first I thought it was just something, they make up everything on the internet. Now you can't trust anything without doing your research. So many different falsehoods, and everybody learns from memes now. So, everybody reads it and thinks it's real. If it's on the internet, it's got to be true. not ever thinking that anybody can post anything on the internet almost anywhere at any time, and it doesn't have to be true, but it's posted. You have to do your research. But anyway, I did my research, and it was true. This lady, I can't think of her name, but she was 88 years old when she started her acting career. And she was 92, I believe, when she appeared in Black Panther. Think about that. A dream she probably had as a little girl, going to whatever you used to call them then, back then, but life happened. She probably got married, started a family, did all the things, had to work and everything, and kind of looked at it and said it was too far-fetched. And then one day she's still talking about it in her 80s, and somebody says, why don't you get an agent? What's an agent? And then she gets an agent, and the agent says, we'll find something for you. First of all, you got to think, whoever that agent was that believed that something was possible for her, you got to think about people out there like that, where your family won't believe in you, where your family can't see you, where your family is too full of limited beliefs of their own that they can even fathom what you're trying to go after. It's somebody out there somewhere that'll believe in you. You got to step out there. It's hardly ever the people you think it should be. And if you count on the people that you think it should be to stand with you, you're going to give up real quick. But see, this guy comes along and said, we'll find something. And then they called her and told her to go. And she thought about Marvel, they told her what it was about, Marvel Comics and all that. She really didn't know. I ain't trying to be in no comic book thing. And they kept telling her to go, and then she went, and they told her they wanted her. And then she's got a central role. She's one of the heads of one of the tribes. She's in the king's court in this movie. And she was 88 when that dream that she probably had as a girl came to fruition. That's what I'm telling you. If you're breathing, you're still here for a reason. You were never created for mediocrity. There's something more in this life than just living. You have more inside of you than just existing and surviving. Remember, I told you this, and then I'm going to shut it down. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. But you got to understand that God took you, molded you, shaped you, and gave you intricate details, special gifts. And see, while you may look like everybody else, you may have a heart in the same place as almost everybody else, you may breathe oxygen like everybody else, but deep inside of you is a gifting that nobody else has. There's a purpose that no one has assigned to them but you. There's a compulsion deep inside that a lot of people have helped you bury. People told you you couldn't. You made some mistakes along the way. Some of us ended up making mistakes, and we took sidetracks through the penal institution, but we emerged on the other side with a new clarity, and we changed things. There are some of us who got caught up and went through marriage after marriage and decided that marriage wasn't for them, and then found themselves. Some of us that are going through some things right now, but if you're still breathing, you're here for a reason. Stop simply existing. The crazy thing is, and I'm saying that because I see my baby brother dropped on. I don't know if he's still on or not, but I know he dropped in. And the crazy thing is, I've been really fortunate that along my life, there have always been these people that did things they shouldn't have been able to do. My great grandmother who raised me came from poverty and losing her mother, then losing her adopted mother after she lost her mom, all before she was into her teens, good. And then having to leave at 17 and start a life of her own in a whole new city, in a big city like Houston, after living in a very small town like Camden, Texas. And she started something, but when I came along, she owned her own beauty shop. She owned her own salon and had people that were at times that were in that salon working for her. So I saw entrepreneurship at an early age. I got a baby brother who Never took a drum lesson. Has been playing since he was 4. One of the most gifted drummers I've ever seen. And, you know, obviously I'm biased. Now, his son is a beast too. But and he's also a recording artist. And that came because we had a mom who was a recording. I mean, there was all of these little things that we tend to ignore. There's somebody in your circle or somebody within a close parameter of who you are that's doing something exceptional and extraordinary. And you've numbed yourself to it because you bought into the negative feed and energy that other people are pushing on you and telling you what you can't do. And for, I mean, as far back as I can remember, I've just always enjoyed looking at other people and celebrating. My brother tell you, I'm one of his biggest fans. He's also was exceptional at basketball. I was one of his biggest fans. I've never been one that had to see somebody struggling in order to feel good about myself. I get motivated by seeing people. So I find people, I purposely build my circle with people who are doing exceptional things. Who's in your circle? Hmm. Ooh. This is what I can tell you from experience, from what I've learned and when I'm working with my clients, from what I'm learned, what I've been taught by those I worked with and those I've studied. And the one thing I did is I don't study people who didn't start out hard. Everybody I study that's exceptionally uh, successful now started hard, started with nothing, had to fight and overcome. And this is what I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, that everybody has something on the inside of them. You don't have to dim somebody else's light in order for yours to shine. Get in that light and feed off of it. Find you some people. But what I can tell you is this: if you don't purposely construct your circle, you're going to have problems. Because, see, what my experience tells me, what studies tell me, everything, that you're going to pretty much be the average of the 5 people you hang around the most. In income, in status, in impact, in expectation, in way of thinking. If you're around a bunch of negative people, you're going to be negative. Or complaining people, you're going to complain a lot. It's just how it is. My teacher used to always tell me, association brings about assimilation, not just in behavior, but in thoughts. Because, see, thoughts are what lead to your behavior anyway. Look, I got to get out of here. But I just wanted to pass it on to you. Be relentless. Be relentless. Be relentless. Be relentless. I don't care how long it takes to get it done. Don't stop until you get it done. Do it or die trying. As I always say, look, I'm going to live my life on full so that whenever my time comes, I'm going to down eat. I'm not taking anything to the grave with me that could have been done in my lifetime. I encourage you to do the same thing. That's it. Look, you guys have a great day. I'm out. Peace.